Happy New Year. I'm Mark Vernarelli. Welcome to Inside Harford County, a program where once again we're sitting down with our community leaders to discuss the issues important to the citizens of Harford County. Wednesday, January the 8th, we're coming tonight live from the studios of Harford TV, and we're happy to have you joining us tonight. You can give us a call and join our discussion, 638-3894. 2025 already. Hard to believe, and it's exact midpoint of the Cassilly administration's 4-year term. 2 years under his belt, 2 years to go, and we're sitting down with the county executive tonight and also his director of administration, Rob McCord. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. We'll talk about the past, talk about the challenges currently, and what you're looking forward to in the future. Great to have both of you here. Hope you had a good holiday, both of you.
It's good to see you. Happy New Year. It's a pleasure to be back with you. Thank you.
Now, we had a vision. You had a vision when you came in, and I'm sure that it may have been altered a little bit. How has it changed a little bit from when you first came in? I remember distinctly it was public safety, responsible budgeting, quality of life. Those were three of your pillars. How has your vision changed a little bit?
Yeah, I guess, what Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, right? So, no, we've not been punched in the face, but you run into your challenges. I think the biggest challenge that we faced coming in was the sudden realization that we had a huge structural deficit, and that's shaped a lot of what we've done. You want to move forward and do lots of great stuff, but that piece of our responsibility to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars has really risen very high to the front, because our advent here as the leaders of the county coincided with the termination of the federal largesse. All those big COVID dollars disappeared and went away. So as Governor Moore said, it's not politics, it's math. The sugar high is over of the federal dollar. So we rolled in here, and it's really been very much the challenge of being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. But we haven't let that interfere with our number one priority, of course, like as you say, with public safety, and we're moving forward with a lot of great efforts to improve the overall quality of life of our citizens in Harford County, keeping education as a priority as well. So we're moving forward well, and we're meeting the challenges, and got a great administration, got a lot of great directors and people working for me, and I'm really proud of them. They're doing a good job.
Rob McCord, as the Director of Administration, you're a former county attorney, planning director. I would think you're well versed in how to tackle some of these things. How do you go about your job? You are basically responsible for overseeing, about a dozen agencies in the county, right?
That's correct, Mark. It's 12 diverse departments, and it's everything from public works to emergency services. And as a state secretary, I've been in every county in the state. I've seen kind of good, the bad, the ugly. I've seen it from one side of the state to the other. I'm really glad to be home. I'm a Bel Air High School graduate, glad to be home and working in my home county. These 12 departments are really working hard to do the job that they've always done with as great a conservation of resources as possible. Get the job done and do it efficiently.
And knowing that, as this county executive just said, we have a deficit issue or a potential deficit issue, that makes it even more challenging for you, I'm sure.
Yes, we are not depending upon state money to get our job done.
Public safety, Mr.
Sure.
Cassilly, the number one priority of any leader anywhere. Let's start on the EMS side. You came in and you were determined to change some of the aspects of the volunteer services and the ambulance service.
Well, actually, I didn't come in to change the ambulance service. The ambulance service met me at the door and said, "We're changing," and they notified me right up front that we're no longer capable of being a fully volunteer ambulance service. We need to convert to a paid county ambulance service. So that was a huge challenge right up front in the administration. Really, we were already facing a structural budget deficit. We had to go ahead and purchase ambulances, hire people, train people, build out quarters for those ambulances. And now we have 17 fully staffed ambulance crews running 24/7, so that's 3 shifts times 17 ambulances, strategically located all over the county. It's been a great success, and I'm very proud of what those folks have been able to do in a really short time, and we're saving lives. That's the bottom line. The volunteer force let us know that it just was no longer possible to do it, and so the citizens are Obviously, there's a budget implication to that, but we didn't really have a choice, and I'm very pleased with that.
And I know both of you had a lot of discussions about the key issue of recruitment because you can't expand unless you have good people.
Yeah.
Did you both work pretty hard on that? I'm sure you did as well, Rob, didn't you?
Yeah, certainly. The recruitment issue, we have advertised everywhere we could. We've taken our message everywhere, and we have people from all over the place who want to work for us. So we're really happy that we've been able to provide a place that they want to work, and they give us their service.
Let's talk about public safety on the law enforcement side. Very strong sheriff's office, great law enforcement component there. How do you feel 2 years in now about how that has worked out?
So coming in, we knew that we had a good police force, but to maintain that, you know, when we rolled in right after the whole General Assembly's effort to supposedly reform policing, which unfortunately had the negative aspect of driving good policemen away. It made policing much less accommodating, much more difficult, much less satisfying, and drove up the price of policing. As you drove police away, the fewer police there, prices went up for police officers. So our really one of our key goals in policing has been to keep the best police officers on the force by providing with a competitive salary and benefits, which is not cheap. I mean, the market is pretty hectic. We're right here in the Mid-Atlantic, so we're competing with, you know, here at Harford County, we're competing with Pennsylvania and New Jersey and Delaware and Washington, D.C., and not to mention that, you know, our neighboring county. So that's been a big challenge, but I'm very pleased that we've been able to keep our salaries competitive. It's a challenge every year for us. We funded 10 new deputies, 4 new school resource officers, and we'll be adding some more. And I'm very proud of the job that law enforcement does in Harford County. It's really outstanding, and we're here to stand behind them and provide it. And that doesn't even include all the great equipment. I mean, we just purchased 30 new police cruisers. I can tell you that's a pretty good price tag, fully equipped with all the latest computers and all the latest technology and radio. So we want to make sure that our law enforcement officers have the tools that they need, the top of the line tools, to do the job that we hope they'll do for us, and they're coming through for us, and we're very pleased.
The Jobbtown High School incident was certainly, if not the key crime event of 24, was certainly one of them. And something good has come out of that, in that we do now have technology, which has been really helpful in the schools, right? Can you talk a little bit about how that came about?
So I went down to the school right after the event and talked with teachers and parents and kids, and so the impact of that, I fully appreciated the emotion of it, and was determined that we were going to stand behind the schools on this. I met with the superintendent on site and promised to do whatever we could as the county to take action, but obviously the schools were in the lead. We met together with our senior staff the following couple days later, and what we had offered was we had a lot of experience because of the putting cameras on the Mall and Paul Trail. My IT people had already done the research in how do you address some of these issues from a technology standpoint, and they had already made contacts throughout the state. So we were able to take the schools, the school system, and the sheriff's office, and some other folks down to Cambridge High School, where they are some of the state leaders in this, and gave a tour there. But we were just by happenstance, our county government was testing out a new pilot program for guns detection, and we had a contractor coming in to demonstrate this to us. And I offered that to the superintendent of schools. He said yes. We shifted that to Jobbtown High School. It was installed, and it remains there today. And we really stood and told the schools, let's move. We encouraged them to move with their plan, and at their request, we put up an additional $1.1 million to buy hardware to further improve security at the schools. Everything from door security to cameras and the like. So we've been there for that, and I'm very pleased with their appreciation of what we're doing, but also just the camaraderie, the working together, the working relationship to start moving our schools towards a more protective environment for the kids, the staff, all involved.
Rob, among the gazillion things that you're responsible for is the roads, not necessarily the numbered state highways, which are the purview of the State Highway Administration or the interstates, but all of the Harford County roads. And am I right in thinking it's about 1,000 or 1,100 miles of county roads?
Here's the way to look at it. We take care of enough roads to go from here to Lexington, Kentucky. So it's 1,100 miles worth of roads. And they're all squiggled up, they're all over the place, and they're not all the same at all. We've got roads in the north end that aren't even paved. We've got roads in the southern end that need to be fixed. So we take care of the roads as best we can.
And that's a real quality of life issue. Doesn't rise to the level of crime. But boy, people can really be unnerved by road problems. And one of your responsibilities is to smooth them out.
That's true.
Repaving and things like that.
The repaving is a big project, but we have it scheduled out, and everybody can't get what they want when they want it, but they will all be done in a reasonable manner to make sure we get as much done as we can.
And Mr. Cassilly, I know you've worked a lot with the state and federal officials on the bigger road projects, and that one big monstrous one is I-95 and 24, which is just a humongous interchange in the first place. Where are we on that one?
So we're getting, they've rapidly approaching completion of the work along 95, and now they started in December with preliminary work on the actual intersection at 95 and 24. And that's going to be a major overhaul. It'll look, for those who know the area, if you look at the big bridge there in White Marsh, that huge, but that's pretty much what you'll have at 24 and 95 when the state's all done with it. So I'm very pleased about that. And we're working very well, I think, with the State Highway Administration. I appreciate the support we get from the Secretary and also the State Highway Administration Director, Mr. Pines, and other folks. We've done, I look at the efforts to a couple other key projects like the Route 23, Grafton Shop Road, which has been really one of our more dangerous intersections, has claimed a number of lives and injuries. And because of their budget shortfall, the state was fixed to further delay that. And I said, look, this is so important to the local community. The county will pick up the state share. And then fortunately, my folks were able to work with the feds to reduce the county's that share down to 10% of the overall project cost. So that's another one that's teeing up, and I'm anxious to see that moving forward. Another key intersection that a lot of folks have been looking, another key roadway a lot of folks have been looking forward to is over on the Perryman Peninsula. We've had the warehouse traffic has been running through Main Street in Perryman for many years now, and we've been working with Aberdeen Proving Ground for a new roadway that connects onto 715 called Woodley Road. So we finally got 100% design on that, and we're hopefully getting towards the final stages. And that'll be a huge improvement for the community, just to get that traffic, that dangerous 18-wheeler traffic out of downtown Perryman and put it onto the highways immediately. So a lot of good stuff, and I appreciate the cooperation we're getting from the state to make some of these changes. Wish they had more money for us, but I'll take cooperation. If I can't get money, I'll take cooperation. So.
Can't always have the money, but speaking of money, a lot of money goes to education. And when you came into the job, you were saying that I believe almost half of the tax dollars actually end up in the schools. How does that work, and how has it worked so far in your first 2 years?
So school's a challenge, but it's a very important challenge to us. I mean, our children's future depend upon a good education, and our quality of our county overall depends upon having good schools and providing good education. But moving half of our tax dollars between operating and capital budgets to the schools is no small challenge. You appreciate that we have about 65% of our budget goes to what we call outside entities. That means like the schools, the sheriff, the state's attorney, the library, the health department. Those are entities that I just give them the money and I don't control their operations. Only about 35% are people at my own government where I can say, don't spend so much there, let's ease up on that and try to tamp the money down. So it's been a challenge to get the schools, to try to tailor or taper back. When we came in to office, there was we were coming on what we call the sugar high of the federal spending. For many years, we were able to align our growth in our school budget to the growth in county revenue and try to match those two lines. We give the schools a little bit more than everybody else, but to match those lines. Well, in 2023, there was a huge plus up for 1 year because of the federal money, all the federal COVID money. And they threw about another $30 million over there to the schools. Well, of course, that was one time, and it went away. We refer to that as a sugar high of the COVID dollars. When we came in, we said, hey, look, we can't stay up there. We got to come back down to the normal growth line. Of course, the schools are not happy with that. So we've caught it in a lot. It's been a contentious relationship too often because of that. But look, explain to folks, for me to stay up there on that line, that means a tax increase. The only way that I can, then we're talking a substantial tax increase, like 15% of your property tax increase to move us from the normal growth line up to this new growth line. So that's a challenge, and we've stood pretty firm in saying, I'm not going to raise taxes. This is not going to happen in this administration. And I'm asking the school leaders to work with us to come back down to the regular growth line where they've been for decades, and let's move forward and do what's the right thing for the kids. So, I got balanced the interest of the taxpayers who are feeling the squeeze right now. We just went out, there was a 20% increase in new assessments, and we're hearing from the taxpayers, a 20%, so a lot of folks, the property tax is going up substantially, and they're not happy with this. Everybody's got to live within their means. So we're trying to work with the schools. We've got to get this ironed out. I'm optimistic that we'll come to some kind of an arrangement that both provides for the school's needs, but also protects our taxpayers' interests.
And Rob, in the meantime, you have saved taxpayers a lot of money with this new elementary/special needs school that we've added. And tell us how that worked. Again, it seems to me like it's using the money the right way and using as little of your money as you have to get it done. Is that basically what happened in this case?
That's true. We didn't want to leave any of the state money kind of on the table. And if you're going to build a school outside of where the water and sewer is, then it's going to cost more because the state will not pay its part of it for that. It's called a priority funding area. It must be in a priority funding area. You can call that our development envelope. State parlance is priority funding area, and then we say it's the development envelope. Same thing for our purposes. And so we worked closely with the school and say, how much acreage do you need? And we went to work, gave them a map and said, here's all the parcels with that in the development envelope. Their first choice is the one that we settled on also, and that was the Evamar property that was going to be 95 houses or whatever, and another set of retirement community houses too. So it was going to be a big development, and it wasn't finished yet, and so we made the effort to purchase that property in the development envelope. That gets the state support back into the equation for that. So we saved about $150 million worth of state support came to that, and then we've saved the taxpayers about $50 million by getting that piece of property for the school system.
Wow, that's a lot of money. It really is. Sir, you've talked about government efficiency. Why should the average Jane or Joe worry about that, and what do you think your administration has done to achieve that?
Yeah. So look, efficiency also, I think, coincides with effectiveness. If you do something efficiently, you're doing it effective. So you want better government services. But the other part of that coin is just the savings of the saving money. Our taxpayer, we're really careful stewards of the tax dollars, and I appreciate that. This isn't just free money that materialized. Every dollar we spend came out of a taxpayer's pocket in Harford County, and that's critical to recognize. So we're really focused on efficiencies, and we've done a whole lot to try to review everything that we do in county government to try to identify greater efficiency. And I can just, some examples. We just completed a vehicle usage study where we look at how we're using every vehicle in the county to make sure that, do we need that vehicle? Do we have the right vehicle? All those, are we paying too much for the vehicles? We want to make sure that we're using everything. We brought in our ambulance, our new ambulance system. We reviewed the billing contract and said, we're not getting the kind of return we should on that. We changed suppliers, and that's resulted in considerably more revenue for our ambulance billing. Our procurement office, we really beefed up our procurement division and hired some really excellent people and computer skills and all that. We've saved about $18 million just on better procurement processes for our county. We did improvements to our bus line, our county bus line, so that not only are the customers served because they know when the buses are coming, they don't have to wait, but our bus routes, we can eliminate unnecessary stops and just achieve greater efficiencies in how we operate. In our Parks and Rec department, we looked at we were mowing a whole lot of stuff that didn't need to be mowed repeatedly. So it's better for your ecology not to mow everything down, get some butterfly meadow. So save money by just saying, let this, in that field over there, we don't need it for active recreation. Let the flowers grow, let the butterflies come. We'll mow it once or twice a year and let it go. So these are some of the efficiencies, and that's just a snippet of a lot of the efficiencies that we've gone towards to be better stewards of the taxpayers' dollars and provide a greater return on what we do. And I'm very proud. I'm going to thank my directors for their full cooperation in achieving these efficiencies and returning monies back into the general fund so we don't have to increase taxes.
I know both of you have paid close attention as the legislative session has gotten started. We're hearing about a $3 billion with a B dollar deficit in the state of Maryland. How is that potentially trickling down to the county level?
Well, I just came out of Annapolis today. Our fear, I talked to my fellow county executives, our fear is that it will trickle down to the counties. And we know the last time that the state faced such a massive budget deficit, that an inordinate share of that burden fell upon the county governments. And that's, the state continues to give out what we call unfunded mandates. Do this, we're not giving you any more money. So we're hoping not to do that. I appreciate what the governor's saying. He's saying we can't tax our way out of this. We've got to look at reducing expenses and grow the economy. He points out that Maryland's economy is growing about 1%. If we were growing at the national average, we wouldn't have a budget shortfall. So unlike the state, however, my administration, Rob and I recognized this shortfall the day we took office. Once we started looking at the books, we were like, whoa, there's a problem here. We had a structural deficit of $60 million. Right away, we immediately went into overdrive to say, how do we address this? And we've been working, it's been our number one, really what we spend the most time on for the last 2 years is dealing with this budget deficit and trying to ramp that in. So while the state's hopefully beginning this year, we started this 2 years ago. And frankly, the state gets revenue, their revenue is growing at 1%, we're growing about 5%. So we're not in as bad a shape as the state, but we started 2 years early. So we're hoping that early recognition of the problem is going to ease us into a better glide path as we direct our economy towards a nice landing, so we're not incredibly disruptive. But look, the challenge our state has to what we have to face is that we're not particularly business-friendly state. And we've got high taxes, we've got high energy costs, and we've got to really look at what we're doing, reduce spending, and be a little more business friendly so that we can grow our economy. As the governor says, I agree with the governor. We got to grow the economy, but you've got to set the table that encourages businesses to come. And when you tax them and regulate them, and they're just it's not a good environment to promote. So I'm concerned where the state is, and we're working hard. Only part that we can really address is the county side. We don't want them to take any more of our highway user revenue. That's important. That's our share of the gas tax. We started off the last time there was a budget deficit like this. We were getting 25% of the gas tax money for the counties. Well, that plummeted, and now we're only about 7%. If they cut that even further, that's what we use, as Rob just talked about earlier about paving the roads. That's a big piece of what we use to pay our roads. So we're working hard. We're working with the state. We're trying to help shift some of these things around and do the right thing. We're coming up. We're heading to New York soon for our annual bond rating, which is how we determine what our bonding rate for the county. And we were able to maintain a AAA bond rating the last 2 years, and I'm optimistic that we'll be able to do that again this year. Really due in large part to the fact that this administration has been really outstanding good fiscal stewards, and we'll continue to do that.
Rob, we don't have a whole lot of time to get into it, but I know two other things you deal with are the economic development team and tourism and marketing. Touch briefly on that if you can.
Yeah, well, basically we focus on hiring experts in the field who speak the language for business, and we've got a highly successful business attorney in that office now, senior defense official to support our contractors on APG, our largest employer, experienced small business owner, agricultural liaison to work with the local farming community, and a business navigator to make sure that when businesses want to do something here, we have one-stop shop. This person can get you what you need, tell you what you need to do next, the permitting, all the zoning stuff, everything, even cooperating with the health department to make sure that they can get their business up and out of the ground or expanding and growing. So that's part of what we're doing in economic development.
Southern County Task Force.
Sure.
On day one, you said the folks who live in Edgewood, Joppatown, Bell Camp, we do not want them to feel neglected.
Right.
What can you point to as some of the action items
Sure.
that have been done to
Yeah.
help those communities?
Yeah, we really look carefully at this because I didn't want to roll in and say, I know your solution. I'm from the government here to help. So we really looked at the data and we talked to the citizens to identify what were the challenges and the opportunities. And then we've been pursuing those, and we give ourselves a report card, and we work with the community repeatedly and carefully to make sure those are done. But just as some of the examples, we had a large number of really dilapidated rental units. We work with the county council to revise our rental code to allow us to go after those landlords. And we moved in since then, and we've taken down, I think, 3 or 4 burned out units, eliminated those. We were enforcing the livability code to make sure that the doors that are falling off, the grass that's growing up. We've gone after unlicensed, expired licensed cars to get them off. We've upped the amount of paving that we're doing in the area, installed additional security cameras. One of my big metrics is participation in parks and recreation programs for kids under 18 and under. One disconnect that we noticed was when we started this program was that the biggest population of kids 18 under in the Harford County was in the Edgewood, Joppatown area. Well, sadly, the lowest participation in Parks and Rec was in the Edgewood, Joppatown area. So we really, I feel really strongly that those sports provide kids with mentoring, self-discipline and the like. So we've made substantial improvements and increased the number of programs and bringing those kids in. We've made improvements to the public parks. They have a couple between Flying Point and Mariner Point, 2 great park venues. Went in, redid the public buildings there. So a lot. Some of it's we purchased a new street sweeper just so that area could be on a regular street sweep schedule, as are the urban areas like Bel Air and Haverty, Grace, and Aberdeen. So we're really trying to reflect that this is a tight-knit community that's got a high population. We're working with the churches, we're working with the community associations, the local businesses. So I'm really pleased, and my directors have taken the lead on this. I'm very pleased with where we've taken this and optimistic for the future. The residents appreciate it. I get down there and they let me know. One came the other day and said, "Hey, you know what? I think you're the first county executive that realized that Joppatown and Edgewood are actually part of Harford County. Thank you for doing that." So we're working hard, and I'm a believer that success is with us.
Well, thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
Rob just told me he has to go do some of these things you've charged him to do, so we're going to have to end this right now. He's got a long list of action items, but seriously, thank you both for being here.
Mark, thanks.
Halfway through, and best of luck to both of you as you continue on in the Cassilly administration.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for watching Inside Harford County, airing exclusively on Harford TV. Please join us again next month on behalf of all of us here at Harford TV. Thanks for watching. I'm Mark Vernarelli.